Hello my sweeties and welcome back to my channel. If you don't already know me, my name is Celise and thank you for joining my spooky little family. In today's video, we will be talking about girl dinner horror movies. Let's get into the video. Okay baddies, so we're here, the holidays are here, and I am super excited to bring this video to you at some point during the holidays. At some point. I wanted this to come out right before Thanksgiving, but that doesn't look like it's happening. But I am sure it will find you during a time that you really need it. Now, before we get into today's list, I do feel like I have to address what exactly girl dinner horror movies means. So in today's video, I present to you girl dinner cinema, dining on trauma, awkward dinners, and gourmet dishes. This is going to be a video that is for all of my body horror loving baddies, and these films specifically will be focusing on a lot of super powerful women doing a lot of interesting things. Obviously, all of these films have food in common, and I did not want to do, like I have done in the past, kind of dinner party horror films and more like on the nose, like exactly on Thanksgiving horror films. I really wanted to do something that feels a little bit more me and films that speak more to me. And honestly, I think overall, the viewers who watch my channel, these seem to be films that also speak to you guys. So I felt like curating a list this specific would be really, really nice. And I do know that here we love body horror. If you've been watching my channel for a while, you know I have been writing hard about body horror. It's one of my favorite subgenres, and there is so many good ones. The best thing about body horror is that there are always these underlining themes in the films that I enjoy about women kind of coming into themselves, sexual awakening, things of that nature. So actually, before we kick off today's list, I do have one film that I have to give an honorary mention to, and that is Ginger Snaps. Yes, an absolute classic. That film is not on today's list, and that is because I do personally feel like Ginger Snaps is one that most of you guys know, a lot of people know, a lot of people have seen it, and it to me is a masterpiece. It's a great film. It matches exactly what I'm saying this list is today. So if you haven't seen Ginger Snaps, you definitely should. It's a werewolf girly pop movie. It's about, coming into your own. It's a coming of age. It's a very good film. And without further ado, let's get right into number 8. We have Bones and All, directed by Luca Guadagnino. Abandoned by her father, a young woman embarks on a 1,000-mile odyssey through the back roads of America, where she meets a disenfranchised drifter. But despite their best efforts, all roads lead back to their terrifying past and to a final stand that will determine whether their love can survive their otherness. Okay, so Bones and All actually came out in 2022, and if you guys know anything about 2022, that was one of my favorite years of horror. We had back-to-back bangers. It was a great year. So many great films, so many original horror films. And Bones and All, in my personal opinion, did not get the amount of love and praise that I really wanted. Unfortunately, I think a lot of people kind of didn't really like this one. They didn't feel like it was horror. But Bones and All perfectly captures the vibe that I'm going for. Obviously, in this film, I will not spoil it for those who haven't seen it, but the ending itself between Taylor Russell and Timothée Chalamet is something so heartbreaking and so beautiful. The film is shot gorgeously. Obviously, it's Guadagnino, and he is a master at his craft. Not only is it shot gorgeously, I love the storytelling of this film. I think it just is perfect, and I think overall it was a very captivating movie. Now, if you have seen the film, then you know what happens at the end. It is an ending that is so heart-wrenching. This is one of those kind of romantic tragedy films, kind of like The Fly, and it just has this ending that will hit you right in the gut. And if you know the ending, you totally understand why it belongs on the list today. If you haven't seen this one, performances are outstanding, and you will not be disappointed. If you like romance, if you like some good old cannibalism horror, you are going to enjoy Bones and All. This is a very different cannibal type of film, and one that I greatly appreciate. Okay, baddies, and now at number 7, we have one that I'm telling you, you have to just trust me on this. It's a Tubi original, and it came out this year. We have Lowlifes, directed by Tesh Gudakanda and Mitch Oliver. The survival instincts of a road-tripping family are put to the test when they have no other choice but to stay the night at a remote homestead. So you know how I told you this is a Tubi original? Listen to me. Listen to me right now. I know what you're thinking. You're like, Tubi original? You're like, oh my God, like the Terror Train remake? No. This is a really well shot, well directed, funny, great time horror film, and I had such a blast. This is definitely one of the most underrated releases of this year. Now, without giving too much away about Lowlifes, this film also obviously has a theme of cannibalism, and this film is just such a good time. We have such great, fun, interesting characters. All of the actors have great chemistry. I truly believe that they are a family. And if you watch the movie, we have a great, strong female lead. She has some great lines in this. There is one that's absolutely iconic. I can't give it away because I really want you guys to watch it. But after you watch this film, if you log in on Letterboxd and you follow me, you'll see my favorite quote in my review. It was so great, and of course it was delivered by our leading lady. She ate, she devoured, quite literally. Also, this film is on Tubi for free, and it's 90 minutes, and you're supporting indie horror filmmaking. What are you doing? Go watch that like right now. Watch it tonight. And speaking of these weird kind of family dynamics, at number 6, we have one that I recently just discovered, and this is an Indonesian horror film. This is Macabre. 6 friends are captured and tortured by a murderous family after giving a ride home to a desperate stranger. Okay, so this film is about 95 minutes. It is from 2009, so if you can get past that, a lot of it does look very 2009, I promise you're gonna have a good time. This film really pleasantly surprised me. This is like the Indonesian Texas Chainsaw Massacre, in my opinion. The cover of this film also heavily gives Hannibal vibes, and my favorite thing about Macabre is definitely the female leads in the film. The woman playing the mother character is such a strong performer, and she really is probably the most interesting aspect of the entire film. It actually is a shame that it is 95 minutes and we don't get enough of her. She is clearly the most interesting. She's the one that has like the most lore, and I just wanted to see more of her, honestly. But other than that, this film is very fun. This is a low budget independent film, and all of the practical effects, all of the kills look really great, especially for something that was low budget in 2009. It just looks great. It looks really dirty, gritty. I love that the film is kind of like yellowish and kind of green. Everything looks really just slimy and gross, and I love that. Now, the women in this film absolutely eat, quite literally. I just really admire the performances. I really do. Especially in our final act, our women in this film go so hard in that last act, and girl, I was proud. Girl, I was proud, and I am now waiting to see any of the rest of their horror films that they do. If you're looking for something along the lines of Texas Chainsaw Massacre and, you know, you haven't seen this, you definitely want to bump it up your list. It might be a little bit hard to find, but I promise it's out there. All right, baddies, this is for my succubus loving queens. At number 5, we have an absolute classic that I love and that my friend Dylan kindly showed me. This is Death by Temptation. An evil succubus is preying on libidinous black men in New York. And all that stands in her way is a minister in training, an aspiring actor, and a cop that specializes in cases involving the supernatural. I love this movie so much. So this film is directed by James Bond III, and he's actually in the film playing a character named Joel. And of course, we have Cynthia Bond, who plays our lovely, lovely succubus. Now, I love anything revolving a succubus. Love it. I eat that shit up. That in itself, a succubus knows all about girl dinner, okay? My favorite thing about Death by Temptation is the fact that it really nails the grittiness of New York. It feels very authentic. I just love the vibes of this movie. Everything is vibes. There are definitely things that look very cheesy, but that is part of the appeal of this film. That is the whole thing. That's the whole shtick. It feels very 90s. It's a great time. And again, our leading woman just devours. I think she's such an interesting character. I love the way she lures the men in. I loved it. I loved it so much. I think, again, if there was even more of her, I'd be so happy. Death by Temptation is one you should not sleep on if you're looking for a really fun time. This is a great film to watch with friends. It's also a great one to watch with your family if your family's super into horror like that. So if you want to kick back and watch this one for this holiday season, you should do it. Ooh, baddies, and now we're getting to the top 4. At number 4, we have an absolute favorite of mine. I've been talking about this one since the start of my channel. We have Deron from 1982. The hero worship that Simone has for a pop singer is built to a crescendo until she passes out when she finally sees him up close in a crowd of fans. She is later shocked when he lets her know that he does not love her. So Deron is a very interesting film. Deron is one of probably my favorite stalker films. This one is disturbing. I can't lie to you guys. It is disturbing. I think this is an interesting movie that speaks a lot about parasocial relationships and how certain people interact with media and things like that. So it has a lot to say there. And it's just a really great film that a lot of people don't talk about. It's so weird. It's shot really well. There's some really interesting shots. It's disturbing, it's uncomfortable, and that's exactly what I want out of a film of this nature. Our lead, who plays Simone, has such great body language. She plays this very awkward, weird character so well, and I just loved everything she was doing. And by the time we get to that final act and we see what unravels and what happens, which I won't give away because I know this one is definitely underrated, you guys are going to be gagged. And if you're not gagged, you can personally fight me in the comments. Like, whatever. I personally felt like that was a moment. Gag worthy, honestly. I just love these crazy stalker obsession type films. And the fact that it has this really just nasty, icky, horrific thing underneath it is just even better. I really think if you're into dark films, you are going to love Deron. And now at number 3, one of my personal favorite girl dinner films, we have Raw, directed by Julia Ducournau. In Justine's family, everyone is a vet and a vegetarian. At 16, she's a gifted teen ready to take on her first year in vet school where her older sister also studies. There she gets no time to settle. Hazing starts right away. Justine is forced to eat raw meat for the first time in her life. Unexpected consequences emerge as her true self begins to form. Now, actually, raw is the reason why I wanted to make a list like this today. Now, I had never seen a cannibalism film that I ever related to. Now, Raw is a very interesting film because it's this kind of beautiful coming of age film. You immediately, if you kind of grew up shy and kind of to yourself, I think you see a lot of yourself in Justine. At least I did. I can only kind of speak for myself. But I felt really connected to her almost instantaneously. Now, as the film goes on and things begin to unravel and we really see what's going on and we kind of get to that final climax, I love the journey that we go on with her. We have this coming of age, kind of coming into your own, coming into your sexuality, becoming a woman. I loved it, and I think Garance Marler is an incredible actress. This is like the only actress I could ever see in this movie. She really does a great job. There is a scene in this film that sticks with me and one I think of all the time. It is Justine dancing and looking at herself in the mirror. And I love this kind of private moment between herself and the mirror. She's kissing the mirror, and there's a lot of feelings, once again, a lot of like figuring yourself out and your sexuality and this sexual awakening that kind of comes with this cannibalistic side of her. I just think it's a very interesting movie. I think Julia Ducournau is such an incredible filmmaker. I'm so excited to see more of what she does. So far, all of her films have been so relatable for me and have made me feel very, very seen. And she never misses for me, my girl. She never, ever misses. I was talking all that shit earlier because I was like, you guys are gonna know which film is on today's list. If you know me, you know. You know how we were talking about succubuses earlier? Well, at number 2, we have the succubus queen. We have Jennifer's Body. Obviously, this is a classic film. This is a cult classic, and I know most of my audience here, I know you guys all love it, but I had to add her here because this is one that actually helped me kind of come into myself and figure out my own sexuality at a very, very young age. So I have to talk about this one. Jennifer, a gorgeous, seductive cheerleader, takes evil to a whole new level after she's possessed by a sinister demon. Now it's up to her best friend to stop Jennifer's reign of terror before it's too late. Oh my God, what is there to say? I've talked about Jennifer's Body so much on the channel. I've talked about it in streams. I did a whole dedicated review. I've talked about it on Instagram. I love this film. This film speaks to me. I saw it at a very important time in my life. I got to see it in theaters. It was really awkward. I saw it with my dad in theaters, and he definitely didn't know what I was thinking of and feeling in those moments. But it was a very eye-opening film for me. It's very important to me as a person. It kind of shaped kind of a lot of my personality and my humor. I think this is a film that ultimately speaks to a lot of people, and I'm one of them. Now, this is one of the ultimate girl dinner films. Obviously, we follow Jennifer as a succubus, and she's just eating them up. She is eating them up. Jennifer has a line where she talks about how she's feeling so empty, and we have Needy who kind of explains how when Jennifer doesn't eat and she's super hungry, her hair is lifeless and dull, and she kind of looks bad, and then when she's full and eating, she's like super, super gorgeous. And yeah, that shit is real. And now, after talking about one of my favorites, one of my absolute favorites, we have to go to number 1. Now, I know it is really shocking that Jennifer's Body is not number 1 on the list with how much I love it, but this other film has to be at number 1 simply because I have never seen anything like it. And I have loved this movie for so long. I watched this movie in the 9th grade and I had never seen anything like it. And it deserves to be at number 1 because it is so underrated. We have Dumplings, directed by Fruit Chan. Aunt May's famous homemade dumplings provide amazing age-defying qualities popular with middle-aged women. But her latest customer, a fading actress, is determined to find out what the secret ingredient is. If you have not seen Dumplings and you are here today looking for something that is going to speak to you, if you enjoyed the substance even, I have to add the substance in here as well, you are going to love Dumplings. Now, Dumplings is definitely more disturbing. There is a lot of disturbing things going on in this film today. So if you're not really into disturbing, I don't know if you're gonna love it. Make sure you do your own research and figure out your trigger warnings and all that stuff because it is probably one of the most disturbing on today's list. This film is a must-see. If you are someone that struggles with the idea of aging, and even if you're just interested in that kind of subgenre, if you liked the substance, I think you will appreciate Dumplings. We have incredible performances from the women in this film. I think they really, really carry. And it's just a great, great movie. And when I tell you that for a while there, I did not look at Dumplings the same, shit is real. This movie is so worth your time, and that is why it's at number 1 today. I just love all of these lovely body horror films that are speaking so much about women and aging, and I love it. They speak so deeply to me. If you're into that kind of thing, you definitely have to check out all of the movies on today's list. But definitely try to prioritize the niche ones that you haven't seen. Okay, baddies, that is it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe as it really helps me a lot. And be sure to click that little notification bell to be up to date every single time I upload. And let me know again in the comments if you plan on watching any of these films, if I helped you find some niche ones you never heard of before. If you have any recommendations for me, I would love to know all about it in the comments. I love to talk about it. Thanks so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.